So there's plenty of ways that you can actually do your preserving. So, for example, I do water bath and steam canning, but there's also things like pressure canning, dehydrating, even freeze drying. I'll kill for freeze dry, but they're about $8,000. So, nope. But you don't even need to do that to actually be preserving. And most of the houses have this thing in their house, which is a freezer. So I thought to show you my canned items for now. So recently I did some pickles. I got some cucumbers cheap, so I made some pickles, and I'm still waiting on those to sit for a little while so they get nice and delicious. Then we made some habanero pineapple hot sauce, which goes so good with just some grilled fish. Behind here we have some preserved rhubarb, and I'll be making a rhubarb crumble with that soon. Now I've got some pickle relish that I've made recently. I've got some spicy salsa. That salsa is so good. Then I've got some corn relish. And then also I actually got a box of jalapenos. So I did some cowboy candy, just some brined jalapenos, and then I also did a jalapeno hot sauce, which is been very popular on my videos. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you everything that I have in my freezer that I use to preserve. Now this isn't for long term or anything, this is more short term, and everything's used within about the 12-month mark. So I'm just going to gradually just pull out things and I'm going to show you what I use. So if you recently watched my meat shop, you would have noticed that I buy a lot of meat and I use my freezer to keep that frozen for future use. So I tend to buy things that are on special or discounted or reduced to clear, and I will put them away for future use in the freezer. So that's one thing that I already freeze, and you can look at my other videos for future reference of that. Other things I do freeze is deli meat. So I've got sliced ham, shredded ham, bacon. I just put them in their original packaging like this, and I'll put it into the freezer. This will defrost perfectly. Then you got cheese and shredded cheese, freezes beautifully, and you can take it out almost straight away and start using it straight away. And then we've got cream, so you can freeze cream. You just need to let it just defrost properly before you go to use it. And also butter. When you see butter on special, stock up on it, keep it in the freezer, and that way you don't have to buy that crappy margarine. Let's get on to the next one. So as you can see here, I've already preserved some of my bacon. So I've got a few rashers, wrap that into a Ziploc bag, and that's just dated and stuck in there. Then also, it's not just meat, you can also do vegetables as well. So one thing I find freezes beautifully is celery. So celery, it can be sometimes really expensive during the off months, and I don't use heaps of it, so I find I buy one and it usually gets thrown out. So what I do is I chop it up, I then put it into packets and I freeze it. The leaves I'll turn into celery salt by blending them up and drying them out and putting them with salt. The other thing is red peppers. So here in Australia, during the off months, the red capsicums are about $12 a kilo, which is just outrageous. So what I do is I go around to the corner to the Odd Bunch section in Woolworths, and they have about 1.5 kilos for about $6. So I slice them up and I put them into my freezer, and they defrost perfectly for like stir fries and everything. Another thing I have done before is zucchini grated up and put into a Ziploc bag, and it freezes perfectly. The next thing I like to actually keep in my freezer is any thick stemmed herbs that will actually last long in the freezer. So stuff like coriander and basil won't last long in there. But for example, I've got some sage here, kaffir lime leaves. I've then also got two things of lemongrass. So when I find it reduced to clear, I buy and I just put it in the freezer. Makes Vietnamese food so good. And then also I've got this habanero chili. That is actually from 2019, dates on there. And it is still good. I used one for the pineapple salsa and it is still bloody spicy. All right, so the next thing I like to preserve is ginger. So ginger, I buy whole and I keep in my freezer. And all I do is I just grate that while it's frozen. And that is just beautiful. It grates beautifully. I don't bother taking the skin off or anything. I just do it as is. Then also got some fresh turmeric as well, freezes perfectly. Then I've also got the lemon rind off my lemon. So what I'll do is, if I have a lot of lemons off my tree, I will preserve the lemon juice into jars and can that. And then I will grate the rind off all the lemons and keep it in the freezer. And that keeps beautifully. And then another one, now this one, everyone's gonna be like, what the hell? This is the root of the coriander or cilantro. And that makes fantastic for making a marinade or something for like a Thai dish or something like that. So I keep that, and that's a great addition for when you do a marinade. All right, so the last lot, so these are just things I keep in my freezer, which isn't really about preserving, but they're just things I keep in there. So firstly, dry yeast. So I keep my yeast in the freezer, and this just helps it just last longer. My last tub of yeast, I think, was about 4 years old, and it worked perfectly. So that's an idea. Pizza dough. So I'll make a full batch of pizza dough, and I put the rest in my freezer. And then the morning that I want pizza, I'll defrost that, and I'll use that, and it comes out beautifully. The next thing is I've got seasoned flours and breadcrumbs and all that. And what I'll do is, if I've done something like fried chicken or something like that, or something that's coated in crumbs, after I finish with them, I'll put them into a baggie, put them in my freezer, and I'll keep them for a future time. I do need to keep in mind that these have had raw chicken on them, so I do need to make sure that it's all cooked prior to consumption. So I hope these few things actually help with that. You know, you can use your freezer for other things rather than for frozen items that you've already got from the supermarket or just meat. You can use it for other things as well, and that will help you out tremendously with the rise of food costs and everything. You can try shop the sales and try bulk up and try and save a bit. So thanks for watching. Like the video if you love it, and also subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Thank you.